Hi, everybody. My name's Mark. I hope you're all staying healthy and staying okay out there with everything happening these days. I thought I'd sort of share a project I've been working on here, and it's a bit of an experiment, but this is going to be the first episode of it. And essentially, what it is I take you guys on a journey through an issue that I haven't learned about yet. And so maybe once a week, I'll find an issue that I don't know anything about, that I hear about, and then go through all the steps to try and learn more about it and see what I think at the end of it. So the issue I'm going to look at this week is the Alberta Health Minister, Tyler Shandro, apparently a couple of weeks ago went to a doctor's house that criticized him, and basically on the guy's doorstep he berated him in front of his family. So how did I hear about this? Oddly enough, I heard about it on Instagram from the Beaverton. I thought it was a joke at first, and after that, then I started to see on social media both the Alberta Party and the NDP made some statements about it. But yeah, I basically just have sort of a peripheral knowledge of this subject. So yeah, that's the one I'm going to focus on and take a closer look at. So I'm also going to start with saying that, what I know about Tyler Shandro, which is almost nothing. I know that he's Alberta's health minister. My initial thoughts on this are that it's a pretty crazy thing, and I honestly can't imagine a good reason at this point why a government minister of his stature would feel the need to go to someone's house and berate them. And it certainly doesn't really seem professional and pretty unbecoming of someone of that high of a position in our society. So those are my initial thoughts. I'm going to go now and research the issue as much as I can, and we'll see if we learn anything beyond that. All right, everybody, I am back after researching this Tyler Shandro issue a little bit further. Started to dive into it, and I read a CTV article. And what I will say is that I will be posting all of the articles and things that I'm referencing in the notes for this show. So if you want to read and find out for yourself, you'll be able to do that. So this one was the first one I read just randomly, and it gave a breakdown of the story. And essentially what the story was that Shandro owns a company, and his wife owns a company, and his wife's sister runs a company called Vital Partners. And what this company does is it brokers health benefit, supplementary coverage, things like that. And this whole incident stemmed out of people calling into question whether it was appropriate or not, or whether it was a conflict of interest for Shandro to be a minister of health while also an owner of a private health company. So the Alberta Ethics Commissioner looked over it, and it seems like they've cleared him of any conflict of interest charges on the fact that, number one, he had placed his shares of the company in a blind trust, and number two, he was not a director of the company and directly involved. So on those grounds, there was no conflict of interest. But the internet didn't see it that way, and essentially a lot of people created an online backlash towards the Shandros and began emailing them, posting things online, and essentially harassing them as a result of this, calling for him to step down and whatnot. So what caused this incident was that a doctor named Dr. Mukarram Zaidi actually posted a meme of Shandro, essentially in a negative way, saying that he's going to get rich off of these changes he's making to healthcare. So that was posted on social media. And what I also learned was that Tyler Shandro lives in the same neighborhood as this doctor, and that they had a previous working relationship. They had worked together at the constituency office prior to this. So this incident actually happened because Shandro saw the post and walked on over to his neighbor's house down the street or whatever it was, and actually demanded that it be taken down. So that's where this incident came from. In this article, the NDP also talk about how Shandro should resign, calling into question the ethics of the situation, calling into question his judgment. So a lot of things have transpired from this one incident. After that, I moved on to a CBC article, and essentially the CBC article details a few more things, talks about some of the email exchanges between Shandro, Shandro's wife, private citizens, the staff of Vital Partners. That was also interesting to find out about the level of interaction via email between Shandro and the citizens involved in some of these questions here. The article also goes into more details about Shandro's involvement in Vital Partners, and it looks like, again, he is a part owner, his wife's a part owner, and his wife's sister runs the company. So then I moved on to a Postmedia article, and this article talks about a little bit more about how Shandro is personally responding to emails, not only that were sent to him and his office, but also to Vital Partners. And that article raises some questions about how separate Shandro is from this company that he's not overseeing, and his shares are in a blind trust, if he's responding personally to emails sent to that company. And so that kind of rounds out all of the research that I had done. And I kind of found that this issue was a lot more complex than I initially thought. I think my peripheral understanding was that maybe it was just a weird incident, of a minister showing up at someone's house and yelling at them, which sounds nefarious and weird. But once you find out that they knew each other, they live in the same neighborhood, you can kind of see, not that it's excusing it, how this would at least unfold, and that it seems like it's a case of bad judgment. I think that people who are supporters of the UCP would probably look at this entire incident as something that, this man and his family were attacked by people, and this is just a matter of him standing up for his family. And Jason Kenney kind of echoed that sentiment in his statement about the issue as well. Fans of the NDP and the opposition and people who generally dislike the UCP will probably look at this incident as it being something or another example of a government minister using his position potentially to benefit his situation. And I think what we'll see out of this is that nothing further will happen, and that both sides will kind of be separated on this idea. And it's things like this where we don't meet in the middle that we get all of this divisive conversation and people joining two teams to fight against each other. If we're able to move beyond this left-right divide and this divisive conversation, we can actually look at this incident and see that there are some more advanced questions, I think, that people could ask, media could ask, people more knowledgeable on the subject could ask. But these are a couple of things, at least questions, that I think are raised by this incident. Now, first of all, we want to say that harassment by private citizens of anybody on the internet is not a good thing. We could also say that the Shandros were indeed cleared by our ethics commissioner of any wrongdoing. So a lot of this harassment is based on a false charge, essentially. But I think we could also look at this and trigger a couple more complex discussions about this. For instance, this situation raises a question of, is it appropriate to have a man be our Minister of Healthcare if he is invested in a private healthcare system. It certainly could be a question worth asking. If someone is overseeing the public healthcare system, should they be engaging in private healthcare business? Back when the NDP was in power, they appointed Zipporah Berman, who is an anti-oil activist, to the board of the AER. Is this a similar idea? That created a lot of anger and resentment in the province over that. And I think a lot of people could debate whether this incident is similar and along the same lines. And if so, why is this not creating the same level of anger that perhaps that other one did? Another question that I think is also worth asking is, are our conflict of interest rules stringent enough? I think that's certainly raised, by this incident. And, we've seen evidence that Shandro applied directly to emails that were sent to the company that he's supposedly not running. So perhaps that's something, again, that experts and citizens probably need to look at is, do we have enough distance in between the ministers that are overseeing our government and the private business that they do, to support themselves? So, yeah, I don't know. I think these are a couple of questions where we've left this situation at, again, kind of a divisive, you'll see it one way or the other. But perhaps if we consider these questions and look at it from both sides, we can evolve this beyond this kind of childish political conversation and potentially move it to something better. So, yeah, an interesting subject. Thanks for watching. And, everybody stay safe, take care, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.